Right then, lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, and we are gonna be diving into lots of story from Nicolo Schira, from of course the Athletic, and Fabrizio Romano. Nicolo Schira claims that Arsenal are submitting a 40 million euro bid for Gabriel Jesus plus bonuses. We are also looking at Rafinha from Fabrizio Romano. He's confirming that there is absolute interest, genuine interest in Rafinha. A Victor Osimhen bid, Zinchenko. Arteta is not happy with the transfer situation around Gabriel Jesus, and more and more and more. So do us a favor, hit the like button on this video. Let's get this video to 300 likes. That will be massively appreciated. And I'm gonna say, guys, I'm very, very pleased and I'm very glad to each and every one of you who is hitting that like button. The recent videos have been absolute fire. They're really doing well in terms of engagement, especially the likes. So please do not stop. Continue hitting that like button. The subscribe button is also going crazy. We are very close to 40k, lads. We are 39.1. By the end of today, we should be at 39.5. So continue subscribing to the podcast. You can comment down below. You can tell me, Cossy, change this, add this to the podcast. It is your podcast, and I'll definitely consider your thoughts. But of course, for now, let's enjoy the content. Let's start off with Fabrizio Romano. This morning, he's also added his voice to a couple of other very, very credible sources and outlets on Rafinha. He's actually put out his tweet a couple of minutes ago, and he has said that Arsenal have genuine interest in Rafinha this summer, as reported by Charles Watts and reported by a couple of other outlets. Sorry, there is no official bid, there is no official contact from Arsenal at the moment, but there is genuine interest from Arsenal since months ago. Actually, according to Fabrizio Romano, he says Arsenal have been interested in Rafinha since March. There's been interest. The player has been discussed. Internally. Mikel Arteta, Edu, all love the player. Of course, the Brazilian connection of Rafinha and Edu comes into play yet again. Arsenal have been linked with more and more Brazilian players ever since Edu became technical director. Another one is Rafinha, appreciated by Mikel Arteta, appreciated by Edu, and of course appreciated by all the coaching staff at Arsenal. But I want to make this very, very clear on the podcast. There is no official bid yet. There is no official contact yet with Leeds. The feeling is that Leeds demands at the moment are still very, very high. The player will have to push for a move if Arsenal are going to make anything happen. There is also another condition. Nicola Pepe will have to decide his future first before Arsenal moving for Rafinha. They're looking at two forwards, or we are looking at two forwards this summer. At least one striker and another forward who can play as a winger in form of Rafinha. The player is very open to moving to the Emirates, very open to moving to the Camp Nou. A couple of other clubs are interested in him as well. So it is not going to be all about Arsenal. It's going to be Arsenal and a couple of other clubs. But Romano says huge interest in the player from Arsenal. That is genuine. There is also genuine interest from other clubs around Europe. Bayern, Barcelona, Liverpool, Manchester United. All these clubs have discussed Rafinha internally, but since March, Rafinha has been on top of the list of forwards that could join Arsenal. Nicola Pepe's situation is key to determine whether Rafinha is going to be joining Arsenal, and of course the demands for Leeds in Rafinha. They have to, they're absolutely ridiculous. 55 million euros, that is payable, but upfront. All the money has to be paid upfront. That seems to be a stumbling block for all clubs, including FC Barcelona, who agreed a deal with the player since February, but they cannot actually meet the demands. They cannot pay 55 million euros for the player up front. So Fabrizio Romano says huge interest from Arsenal, genuine interest, but let us wait and see whether in the coming hours, whether in the coming weeks or months, Arsenal will submit in their official offer for Rafinha. Leeds do not have a problem with selling the player, and the player does not have a problem with moving away from Leeds United. It's all about official bids and also official confirmations. Now, Nicolo Shira today in the morning as well has reported that Arsenal are submitting their official offer, their official bid for Gabriel Jesus, 40 million euros plus bonuses. That is what he's actually reporting. And they also say that, of course, Arsenal are discussing a couple of names in the striker position. Priority falls onto Gabriel Jesus. He's the player they want. He's the man they want this summer. He's the priority is the priority for Mikel Arteta, and Mikel Arteta is absolutely mad with Arsenal and the way they are handling this transfer. But of course, first reporting around the official bid, it is now first and foremost it was reported that Arsenal had submitted in an initial offer for Gabriel Jesus. That is not true. Arsenal, this will be Arsenal's first official offer for Gabriel Jesus, 40 million euros plus add-ons. Now, of course, Manchester City are looking at around 50 million euros. A deal in the region of 50 million euros. With everything included, prices and bonuses, 50 million euros should do the trick to sign, for any club to sign Gabriel Jesus away from Manchester City. It has not changed. There is nothing that has changed with this deal. The player is expected to leave Manchester City this summer, and the expectation is that he will join a Premier League club. But of course, among the new arrivals in terms of interest is AC Milan. AC Milan are looking for a striker this summer. They will be losing. I think they will be losing two strikers in Olivier Giroud and Zlatan Ibrahimovic. They have signed in Divock Origi from Liverpool. The feeling is that is not enough for them. They should be, and they will be going for another striker this summer. Gabriel Jesus has been discussed for AC Milan, and they're also planning on bidding. But of course, Fabrizio Romano says very, very soon there should be a confirmation from a Premier League side that the player will be joining them, and high expectations are that club is Arsenal. So 40 million euros plus bonuses, according to Nicolo Shira, one of those journalists that I do not find any quaking in. He's one of those journalists that have been absolutely very, very reliable since last summer that I started following him. He's been very, very reliable, especially when it comes to deals concerning players from Portugal and also South America. He's a specialist in those deals, Portuguese players, South American deals. He's been a great specialist and a great asset when it comes to reporting around those deals. So Nicolo Shira says 40 million euros plus bonuses is the bid that is being submitted. That is confirmed. We are waiting for Manchester City, whether they're going to bounce that bid, whether they're going to accept that bid. That is what we are waiting for. But the whole package should be in and around 50 million euros if Manchester City are going to consider that. So those two stories are topping the headlines for Arsenal this Saturday morning. But of course, in the other stories, Mikel Arteta is reportedly not happy with the way Arsenal, Edu, and the transfer, and the authorities dealing with transfers are handling the Gabriel Jesus deal. First and foremost, Arsenal have discussed Gabriel Jesus for months, not weeks, not hours, but months. Since January, they've discussed this transfer. They have agreed that the player should be coming in at Arsenal as priority, but it has been very, very slow ever since Arsenal agreed terms with the player. Ever since they met with the representatives of the player, agreed terms with them, it has been very, very slow, and Mikel Arteta is gathering frustration. And I think Mikel, for me, is absolutely right to gather frustration at the moment. It's been absolutely very, very uncalled for. The Arsenal have agreed terms and then they have not made an official bid right until now. Make an official bid. Try to talk to Manchester City. Try to see what they want. Try to see if a deal, if a deal can be structured. And if a deal can't be structured in terms of what Arsenal are offering, then we can move on to the likes of Victor Osimhen, Darwin Núñez, and a couple of other players. But of course, the feeling is that a deal is very, very possible. It is happening. You can consider Gabriel Jesus as one player in the bag for us. So Mikel, and that's one of the reasons why Mikel is absolutely fuming with Edu and the transfer authorities. Yes, look, he considers this deal a maximum priority, and he considers it one of the deals that can easily be completed by Arsenal. He doesn't understand what is taking so long for the deal to be completed. But for me, lads, like I've reported before, Mikel has said he wants Gabriel Jesus. Edu is Brazilian. He's using his Brazilian connections to get that deal done. Very soon, I should be reporting that Arsenal are announcing Gabriel Jesus. I do not have any second thoughts. Milan, Madrid have all discussed the player, but the player wants to stay in the Premier League and he wants to join a club that is going to give him first choice football and also going to make him their permanent number 9. Arsenal have offered everything the players camp is asking for. We're just waiting for that bid to be either accepted or bounced back, and then we see what Arsenal are actually going to do. Now there are also reports from Italy that Arsenal are considering a second bid for Victor Osimhen this coming week. The first bid was rejected. The first bid now was reportedly 90 million euros. Arsenal are considering a second bid, a second offer for Victor Osimhen, but according to reports in Italy, both Bayern Munich and Arsenal are very, very wide of the mark. They are very, very far away from what Napoli are asking for. Napoli are saying if it is not 100 million euros, if a bid is not in the region of 100 million euros, then Victor Osimhen will have nowhere to go. He's not leaving the club if it is not 100 million euros. So that is the feeling around Napoli. They want 100 million euros or nothing, and nothing less. Nothing will happen if that is if a bid in that region does not arrive. Like I reported, Bayern and Arsenal are the two clubs that are primarily looking at Victor Osimhen as a major target. Arsenal look at him, would want to bring him in as a second striker, as a player who can bring in that different kind of dimension to what Gabriel Jesus will be offering the club. But 100 million euros for a second striker for me looks a little bit unrealistic. Bayern are also not willing to pay that much. Unless Napoli reduce on their demands, I don't see Victor Osimhen moving this summer. Alexander Zinchenko is not a priority for Arsenal, according to The Athletic this morning. They have said, no. Sorry about that. So The Athletic have reported, and they have said Alexander Zinchenko is not a priority for Arsenal. So the information The Athletic have is that to sign Zinchenko, it would take up to 35 million euros. Arsenal are considering a permanent starter, a permanent starter in Yuri Tielemans to come and arrive at the Emirates Stadium for that fee. That means Zinchenko would not be a starter, despite the fact that Mikel Arteta loves him and would consider him as a midfield signing. He doesn't consider him as a starter, as a priority signing. So he's not a priority, and there are high chances that he might stay at Manchester City. He doesn't want to join West Ham because West Ham want to sign him as a left back. Arsenal would be willing to sign him as a midfielder, but he is not our priority. Our midfield priority is Yuri Tielemans. So this morning, it looks like the Athletic are reporting that Zinchenko is not our priority. Our priority is Yuri Tielemans, as reported earlier on. So that is the transfer talk around the club. Make sure to watch me on Cossy Talk Sport because it is Talks Football. Sorry, it is very, very easy for me to for you to digest these stories because I will be breaking them down one by one on Cossy talks sport. So make sure you make sure you join me on that channel. Always always check out my community center on Cossy's Arsenak podcast, because I do post lots of the stories or many of the stories from Cossy Talk Sport on that on the community. Yeah, that's it. That's it for me this morning. Lads. Nothing more. A couple of other stories will be coming in. More of the content will be coming your way today. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and also hit the like button if you've enjoyed it.